So what do you think? Should the federal government regulate social media? I'm joined by media and communication analyst Adesina Ayomide, who joins live from the UK. And in our Abuja studio is social commentator Kemi Ashekun, popularly called Kem on X. The debate is on. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on the program. Let's begin from our Abuja studio. So the Chief of Staff comment last week brought this conversation again to the front burner, following his, while he was reminiscing on what transpired in the Ninth Assembly and the attempt of the lawmakers at the time to regulate social media. Do you agree with him, though, that social media is a menace that must be regulated?
Well, I think it's a case of semantics. I would say that social media can be a menace. You cannot entirely say that it is a menace, but it can be a menace, especially because there are people who do not understand the rules of engagement, right, of how to even be respectful as interactions between humans, should expect. There should be some form of respectful communication, some form of politeness. But what we see today is like a jungle of sorts, where you have all sorts of people, seeing it as an opportunity to tear down, bully, or, insult people. And one of the things I have always said in the past is that as a people evolve, so must their laws. At the time we had the communication laws that we had in Nigeria, for example, we did not have social media. We did not know it will become this way. We did not know that virtually everybody with access to, a device, right, can, speak to every other person and can talk to them, And then we did also not factor into the fact that some people can now hide, behind the social media to perpetrate all sorts of infamy, against other people. I saw on social media last week someone threatening a journalist whose father was murdered, with the fact that she will be murdered too. And if you have a thing like that, then you must say that it should be regulated. It may not be in entirety a menace because it has democratized the communication space, but indeed, we need the kind of laws that will bend the mischief makers who want to use it as an opportunity to threaten, to bully, to hurt, and to insult other people. That's my take on that.
Absolutely. But what do you think of the conversations around, the political bias of the incumbent government? Because this is not just something that is unique to the Tinubu administration. The Buhari administration also attempted this, in its second term in office. Do you think that there is understanding on the part of social media users in Nigeria, for the kind of points that the Chief of Staff was making last week?
Well, the thing is, understanding is one thing, responsibility is another thing. There is nowhere in the world where you just go all out and insult people, threaten them, bully them, that it becomes acceptable. Whether the people understand it or not, I think that the basic norms of a society, push for the fact that if you're going to engage anyone, be polite. That's the least you can ask for. Or be polite, be respectful. You can make your points without necessarily insulting, right? With regards to the government, you would agree with me that the internet over the years has become cheaper. The Android phones over the years have become more available. And so if the buck falls on the table, right, of the present government to do something about it, it will be foolhardy to say, oh, it's because they are the present government in office. That's just going to be a joke, right? We need to have people understand that you cannot continue like this, right? There are laws in India. India is a democratic nation, to the best of my knowledge, I believe, right? And they have had social media regulation in the last 2 years. If it's false, delete immediately. And if it has been found to do something or the other, you pull it down, or you be held responsible. I recall the Chief of Staff to the President was saying that who should be held responsible? The purveyor of the news or those who believe it. We must remember that we still live in a society where people believe that whatever you see on the media is truth. And sometimes, even for media practitioners, a lot of the times you have to sit down and ask yourself, no, but this cannot be true. You have to second guess it, right? And then you have the gullible people. So you have what we have on social media today is a case of the gullible meeting the mischievous. And so a mischievous person throws out something, the gullible swallow it, then the gullible run with it as if that is the truth. And of course, there's that saying that says that a lie runs around the world before the truth is able to, wear its pants and catch up with it. A lot of times the truth is not usually able to. So if people will not be responsible in themselves to do the right thing or be truthful with what they're going to post on social media, then of course it means that laws have to be put in place to put them in check.
Prince Adeshina has joined us from London. Prince, you have quite a number of people also following you on X, I think over 20,000. You heard Kem say that is a situation of the mischievous taking advantage of the gullible. Do you think that managing or regulating the social media space is the way forward, given some of the unpalatable experiences we've had in recent years?
Thank you. It's nice to join you on the program this evening. Firstly, these debates, they've been on it, I think, since 2019. And I think it's for the benefit of all. And it's just like, it's not really trying to regulate social media. It's just an act or a bill, let me call it a bill, that's just to protect falsehood, manipulation, and to counter fake news. You know, someone can just wake up in one day and said, so people embezzled money, whereas it's false. So, and I think we all want a better country for ourselves, and we always think of European countries that they are doing this, let us emulate them. They are doing this, let us emulate them. But when it comes to this bill, I think people have a counter opinion. And I think we need to let people know that this is just an instance that is not really targeted on freedom of expression. It's just that you don't need to put something that is false on media. Just because you have a freedom of expression, you have access to internet, you can just bring your phone and put something that is not really good. Actually, let me just be sincere. If they've passed the bill to our law since 2019, probably someone like him will have been jailed as well, because we are, one of the times I've tried to publish some news that I later realized that is false. You know, in news writing and reporting, when a reporter goes to get news, he or she will submit to the sub-editor. They will check the grammatical errors. They will check error of punctuations. They will check the facts. So, and also it will get to editor before now finally get to chief editor. That's to tell you that the importance of fact or truth has a lot of importance in people's life. And if you are comparing Nigeria to United States of America, comparing Nigeria to Germany, comparing Nigeria to United Kingdom, then we shouldn't have been discussing about this bill, because on this country, they also regulated their social media. That is why it's quite difficult for anyone living in the United Kingdom to just wake up and publish something that is not real.
I hear you clearly. Let's return to Abuja. You know, Kem, when we talk about regulating social media, are we also cognizant of the fact that even in countries where you don't have access to this app, people bypass these limitations through the use of VPN? Do you think this regulation will be enough strategy to stop this menace?
Well, for the regulation to start in the first place, there has to be a framework that will be, agreed upon with all the parties involved, or all the interested parties, right? Of course, the VPN comes in as in other countries where some of the social media laws are in place. But we must not forget that the VPN in itself is a gate, right? It's one step. Not everybody is going to use a VPN. and not everybody is going to be interested in using a VPN. So already that is a gate that already closes. But in the countries you're mentioning, for example, these are countries where they may not necessarily be democratic states. The social media law, I do not know in which format it will take, but at least it should take the part of the part where it says responsible. Whatever you post, be responsible for it. There's a common saying that says that there is freedom of speech, but freedom after speech cannot be guaranteed because, of course, to whom a brain is given, sense is expected. It's expected that before you spew or write or type whatever it is you want to do, right, that one of the first things that you do is to double check and be sure that it's not going to hurt anybody. And this is where I think the Rotarian four-way test comes out. Is it true? Is it, okay, I remember, is it true? Is it fair to all? And all of that. Those are some of the things that people have to put in place, right, before they decide to share certain things. People have died, just by getting bullied on social media. And it's interesting that the Chief of Staff to Mr. President actually said this thing at Honorable Babatunde Fashola's book launch, right? And because I recall that sometime last year, for example, some people who claims that the former minister and former governor was involved in certain things with regards to the Supreme Court judgment, right? There was, there was a court order against them because you cannot defame people. You cannot just wake up one day, cook up something, and like I said, mischievously cook up something for the gullible and expect that whoever is at the receiving end should just take it as it is, right? What I believe we're clamoring for is more responsible use of social media. Not that people just go in there and think that they can say anything to anybody, right? Or insult anybody, abuse anybody, or claim, what is false. Look at the issue of the gist lover thing in recent times, right? You have people who have become bullied into silence, by some of these people who use social media irresponsibly. So as far as I'm concerned, I believe that as a people evolve, so must their rules, so must their laws, and the social media was not there when we had certain laws in place. Those laws are possibly, for the general communication issues that we used to have. But with the advent of social media and with the way people have started using it, especially because these days people can just wake up. Anybody can wake up and type something and start to share. Unfortunately, people start to believe.
You talked about the need for multi-stakeholder engagement, to be able to see this fly. But recall that in 2021, the Buhari administration actually banned Twitter, and the reaction was massive. Not quite a number of people supported that decision. How do you draw the line? If you follow the reaction, for instance, from Amnesty International is saying that critics of government could be imprisoned for up to 3 years, if this bill sees the light of the day. What kind of a bill is that gags people from saying the truth to government? Because this is the point where many Nigerians are also considering. Twitter is alive, X is alive today because you can bear your mind. You probably have as many people following today because you can bear your mind. The moment we begin to tow this path, you turn us all into robots saying yes, sir, to every decision you make. So talk to us about the way forward in such a way that this doesn't turn out to be a gag on free speech.
Okay, like I said earlier, right, it doesn't have to be a gag. It just has to be respectful engagement, right? I did say that, yes, there has to be some form of respectful, some form of engagement, a framework that works. I don't believe that the current president, right, will be interested in gagging people because throughout his own throughout his own years as a Democrat, right, he's been one who has always spoken up, right? So I think that it will be grossly unfair to think about him in, along those lines as someone who may want to gag the people. No, that's not who the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, represents. If you recall, back in the days from the June 12th struggle all the way to the days of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and all of that, he's been someone who has spoken up for the common man. So the last thing on his mind will be to actually gag the people. However, to whom, to whom freedom is given, responsibility is also expected. That's the part of it that our people need to come together to agree about. We cannot continue like this. If we leave social media to continue the way it is going, we will wake up one day and the country will be set ablaze. And I think that is what we all are striving to prevent and to protect. We're striving to have a country where you can engage the government. Nobody is saying you should not engage the government. And I will come to Amnesty International in a bit, right? Nobody is saying you cannot engage the government, but you can engage the government without being without trying to attack, the essence of what we represent as a country. And I think that's where the difference is. There are days that I also, would say, no, this is not working well. This is not looking the way it should. But there are ways to put down these things without necessarily seem like you're trying to set the country ablaze, right? For example, I would say that Mr. President in himself has a right as his own human right. So for everyone who's gone about saying all sorts of, making all sorts of accusations against him, I would say that they should come out with proof. And if they're not coming out with proof, then he should exercise his own human rights to say, well, you've accused me falsely. Can we go to the courts to prove what you have said? And that's the one thing, social media we've not been able to iron out on social media. Don't forget also that there are people across the world, hundreds of millions of people across the world, who believe what they see Nigerians post about Nigeria on social media. And I can tell you for real, this has in many ways diminished us as Nigerians and diminished Nigeria as a whole before the rest of the world. These are some of the things that we need to work on. These are some of the things we need to protect. We have run out of time. These are some of the things we need to engage our people about and make them understand that on the social media, you are on the world stage. And for everything you say about Nigeria.
All right, let's bring in Prince Adesina quickly. Let me understand what is on the mind of content creators, especially Nigerians abroad, because many of you are guilty of that. X is paying for engagement now, and then everyone is tempted to post the most controversial content to get the likes and the engagement so that, Elon Musk can pay them. Perhaps you can speak on behalf of content creators and how you think they think and how that can, change the narrative back at home.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've been experiencing this more of fake news, more of manipulations on internet ever since Elon Musk started paying content creators. And I think after they've earned some engagements like views, like having 2 million views on a post, they can now just like, oh, I'm so sorry, like this kind of post that I made is actually false. And you know that social media is just like an epidemic theory, like a bullet theory, whereby it has a very great influence on people. Like the moment you post something, people cannot even try to fact check whether what you post is actually genuine. They will just react on it. We've had a lot of instances that this has tried to set ablaze our country, most especially during this EdSARS era. They published a picture of one actress that she's dead. And the person is in her house enjoying life. They said she's dead. And they said, why? I'm in my own house. Why are you people doing this to me? So now, in the UK, we don't really have that kind of sin. Like people just wake up to create some news just to trash people or just to bring the country down. No, they don't do that here. So what they do here, even take for instance, if you try to create a Twitter account or even Facebook or Instagram, and you will abide by their rules and regulations, you understand? And also, if you, most especially during this COVID-19 of a thing, like Facebook and all these Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter try something that when you publish something that is about COVID-19 and it's not genuine, they will flag it. That's to tell you that it has a great impact on people's life. So if all these media platform could think of something like that, now I think TikTok owner and Mark Zuckerberg, they are facing a lot of criticism from
the United
US
States
right now.
Absolutely.
From the United States because of some content that some kids, teenagers see on social media and try to act on it, and they commit suicide. So they are facing a lot of a lot of this kind of menace in their own society as
Absolutely.
well.
I hear
Upon
you
the fact
clearly.
that United States of America, upon the fact that United States of America regulated their social media bill, still a lot of people are seeing some content that is not really good, that is making them to misbehave. Now,
Absolutely.
our own country, people are pushing some false narrative to gain engagement, to get enormous money. Yeah, they are not doing so to get money.
Indeed.
You
I
understand?
hear
But
you.
it's having a lot of side effects for some teenagers, like watching a scene that maybe
Absolutely.
if you're trying to play with a knife, they can just use it to kill themselves.
Indeed,
And
Prince.
they said,
That's
and in
unfortunately
argument,
how much we can go on the show. We'll possibly, continue this conversation on X and, just use the hashtag beyond 100 days. And remember to tag Prince Adeshino and Kem, and then we can have this conversation. Thank you so much for your contribution. Prince Adeshino joined us live from London. Kemi Ashekon live from our Abuja studio. It's been a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of it. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.